And in today's news, books that did not need to be written. The Savior Sister by Jenna Moreci. Yeah, dude, so I am confident that like 85% of this book is just copy and pasted from the first book, with like 15% of it being original content specifically for the sequel. So it tells the story of Layla, Tobias's love interest from the first book, who is the Christ figure and queen known as the Savior. In the world of Thesson, her father, named Rondes, wants to kill her for some stupid reason, seeing as her death would literally cause a plague that could wipe out their entire civilization. So she is spending her time murdering her way through the government officials that Layla dubbed his network, meaning his information network, I initially assumed. But it seems more like just the people who follow his leadership and want to kill the Savior for stupid reasons. So if you've never read this book or haven't seen my unstructured rant on the first book, Thesson has this bachelorette death game to find a husband for Layla. She hates this idea because it's retarded, but also because she doesn't like that men have to die and she can't choose her own lover. Then she meets her true love, Tobias, from the first book, as she acts like a healer for the men who are playing the death game to marry the Savior, who they think is her fake sister Cosima because Layla is hiding her identity from them due to the fact that she knows her father has hired assassins to kill her after they win the game and marry her. Where the first book follows Tobias's point of view as he plays the game, the second book follows Layla as she murders people and fawns over Tobias since he is the greatest man on the fucking planet. Honestly, the story sounds interesting, but it's not interesting. First off, Layla is just a terrible protagonist. She and her closest friend and sister Delphi are constantly acting like stuck-up bitches. They're mean to people for no reason. And the book attempts to frame it like they are only mean to those who are wronging them, but in reality, based on what we are shown, they're just rude to anyone who does something that they don't want them to do. So like, there is this guard named Asher that Layla gets a hard on for briefly. Her sister Cosima plays a joke on her that makes him faint after seeing Layla's godly light. Then, after he's healed, Cosima comforts him by sitting on his face and letting him slip his main meat into her pussy lips for warmth. Layla walks in on them after Cosima calls for her because she's an asshole sometimes, and also one of the villains of the story. So eventually, Asher becomes Layla's personal bodyguard, and this dude is devoted to her, like to a cultish, obsessive level. He is a bit doting, but still, he does literally whatever she says, and Layla hates him, admitting that it's because of him fucking Cosima. But the thing is, Asher just got his dick wet. There is no reason for Layla to hate him. He just slept with a woman who consented to sleep with him. How was he supposed to know Cosima was gonna call her into the room to watch, and Layla never actually told him that she liked him, so she has no say in who the fuck he fucks. And dude, not to mention her scene with the fucking physician, a literal doctor who helps people with their health, wanted to help her heal Tobias, who was dying because Layla was having trouble since she is not an actual fucking healer. She heals using her power and perfumes, but has no idea what she is actually doing, especially with Tobias. But instead of letting an actual doctor help, she calls him sexist and makes him leave, while stressing about what she should do because, you know, she's not an actual fucking healer, despite using that as an argument against the actual fucking doctor. Honestly, I like Cosima more as a character. There is this one scene where Tobias recites a poem for Layla, but it's supposed to be for the Savior, and so Cosima thinks it's for her. So she starts to cry. Like, Cosima is portrayed as a hoe. Like, she fucks who she wants, when she wants. That's how attractive she is, but she never met a man who wanted her for more than her body. So, the content of Tobias's poem really struck like some layer deep down in her heart that she keeps hidden. And I was like, wow, in a better book, this scene would be amazing. Too bad it goes nowhere. The scene is mainly ruined by one specific character, and thus this is a good segue into the massive bitch known as Delphi. Delphi is lesbian Cosima, but portrayed as a good guy. And honestly, I believe it's because Jenna's woke, so she's afraid to portray gays in any bad light. I'm only saying this because Delphi fucking sucks. But has clear authorial bias. She's mean for no reason. Just like Layla, especially to Cosima, who seems like she just wants to help, but is hated by her sisters for simply existing as someone who fucks more than Layla. But the thing is, Delphi does too, so I don't know why they hate her so much. Like, we do eventually find out that Cosima is a usurper, but okay, this can be chalked up to writing mistakes by Jenna, in my opinion. But there is nothing showing us that Cosima dislikes Layla or that she actually cared about being queen up until the point that it's revealed. We get a moment when they are kids playing where Cosima wants to play queen, but that's a child's game and has no bearing on adult life unless it is enforced by events in later life within the book. If you don't do that, then the villain motivation comes off as awkward, in my opinion. All we see is Cosima really attempting to help Layla with her plans. Cosima either follows Layla's orders exactly or does something that actually helps Layla more than her original plan would have. Like, there was one point where Layla gave Cosima a strand of her hair, which allowed Cosima to use some of Layla's powers. Once again, Layla gave Cosima her hair. So, Cosima used her powers to make it more believable that she was the savior, since she had Layla's okay to do so. But Layla got mad about it anyway because she's a bitch. Next, the driving forces behind the entire story are Randiz's plot to kill Layla and take over the Empire, and Layla's romance with Tobias. Likewise, the central point of intrigue behind most stories is the conflict. For the romance, that is Layla stressing over having to lie to Tobias about being the savior and all the obstacles that come with her being the savior. Much of the romantic drama can be solved by Layla telling Tobias that she is the savior, because that would help Tobias help her without getting in the way of her plans. It would also ease some of his stress throughout the story. And it's really funny because there is a point in the story where Tobias almost messes up one of Layla's plans because he doesn't know about it, and the story even lets us know that she has no reason not to tell him once he falls in love with her. And from my observations as the reader, it can only serve as a positive influence on their relationship, like I said before, but Layla just refuses to tell him. The book does kind of bring this up, when at the end she admits that she should have told him, but it's portrayed as Tobias's fault since he said he hates the saviors without knowing that Layla is the savior. Or it's also Tobias's fault because Tobias kept interrupting her because Layla was playing with his dick during the conversation. Layla never takes any accountability, and the book tells the reader that she's right to act like that, despite being a fucking adult. They do this by always having Tobias apologize for everything or never combating her on anything, even if she's being irrational. To the point that she's disregarding his valid feelings for her own interests. Examples are Tobias breaks his hand to talk to Layla because she's mad at him for being forced to spend alone time with Cosima. Layla won't listen to him when he tries to say nothing happened so he can't tell her. She's like, I don't want to hear it. You will respect my wishes. And him, as the masculine man that he is like, okay. In a lot of other contexts, that'd be completely fine. But nigga broke his hand, dude. And also, she knows how the game goes and knows he doesn't want to be in the game and hates Cosima, so why you mad, girl? Or how about where they are in bed together and she promises to tell him she's the savior, but gets in her feelings and stonewalls him again, and he just lets her despite the fact that she's breaking her promise to divulge pertinent information to him. I am beginning to think Tobias should leave that relationship. Like, Jenna said that this was a healthy relationship. But is this really a healthy relationship, Jenna? Or is this just one part of the relationship placating the other unilaterally? Men, allow me to address you with this message. It is okay to be assertive with your woman if she acts like this, because it's not fair to you. Broken promises, gaslighting, and irrational anger is a recipe for disaster, so you both should nip it in the bud. Same goes for women if your man acts like this. Everyone, there is no need to yell or anything, but it's okay to argue if you have to. Then walk away if it escalates and let them calm down. Next we have Rondi's. His plot to kill the savior is retarded. Like I said, killing her can end the world. Then the book says he doesn't care, so I'm like, great. Then what is he attempting to rule if he doesn't care if everyone's dead? They say he wants to go to a different country and rule, but if his army dies to a plague, then he has no one to help him fight a war. And if he has no bankers or accountants because they died to a fucking plague, then he has no money for mercenaries or soldiers or blacksmiths to build the army. What the fuck, Jenna? So you're really just going with that he's just evil excuse, aren't you, man? Aside from all that, the book really just is a rehash of what we saw in The Savior's Champion, especially near the end where almost word for word chapters were recapped. With small segments of Layla's perspective sandwiching its in at the beginning or end of the chapter. It might just be my opinion, but I feel like Jenna really didn't care about this book. She just knew her fans would buy it because they like her. Just like me, but I'm a simp. All hail my marketing queen. Also, she still has not explained why or how the Savior was born, and I hope she does in the Savior's army. I also hope she writes an actual good book with the Savior's army. Anyway, bye-bye.